So in the first part of this video, I pretty much explained my theory for how Boruto could end up fighting Momoshiki, and near the end I said I was going to branch off and talk about another aspect of this theory and just try to expand it a little bit. If you're curious, the title of that video is called Why Boruto Should Be Scared of Momoshiki's Return. So this time I want to include Kawaki into the picture more and have him on the side of Boruto for this case, and to pretty much catch you up to speed. Basically, the theory goes off the idea of what Boruto said to Kawaki after the Ishiki fight. Kawaki suggests to Boruto to plant a karma on Code, and Boruto uses his body to resurrect. If this happens, Boruto lives, and Momoshiki would theoretically revive in Boruto's body, while Boruto revives in Code. The last major aspect of that video is that Boruto will be using a weaponized karma similar to how Code's is, and it goes off the idea that Amato could build one for Boruto if what I just said is the case. Now, this is part 2 of the theory, and I'll most likely make another video once we learn more, so make sure to subscribe for that one. Cool, so now that you're pretty much all caught up, I have to talk about the possibility of a Kawaki and Boruto versus Momoshiki fight. So in the Naruto series, they sometimes recreate certain fights, but with different people. I mean, just to keep it kind of simple and give you kind of the most common example of this is Madara versus Hashirama at the Final Valley, and Naruto versus Sasuke at the Final Valley, at the beginning of Naruto and at the end of Shippuden. For this video, this is pretty much going to be a recreation of Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki, but this time it is Boruto and Kawaki versus Momoshiki instead. If Momoshiki resurrects through Boruto and Boruto manages to find another vessel, then we can have a different version of the Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki fight, but this time it is their students fighting Momoshiki. And the reason why I like this idea so much is because it takes the two main characters and puts them through the ropes to give us a good estimate just how strong they have become, while also reinforcing the idea that if Kawaki is somehow good in the future, that him and Boruto are strong enough to take care of any future threats in the show. Both of them being 80% Otsutsuki is such a big deal, it's going to be a major source of power for them moving forward. Now, as these two get stronger, then Naruto and Sasuke won't necessarily have to worry about carrying the world on their back and could have someone to rely on if things get hard. I think one of the points that they talk about in the anime is that one of the goals of the scientific ninja tools is that not everyone is born with amazing strength like Naruto and Sasuke, and some people will just never be that strong or even close to that level. You know, some people are born into the Naruto world and you're just weak, you're just trash. It just is what it is, and these scientific ninja tools are the answer to that problem. And I wonder if Kawaki and Boruto being on the same side and defending the Leaf Village would give Naruto some reassurance that the next generation is well prepared to take on these new threats. So continuing on with this idea of Momoshiki appearing, my thought process is that Momoshiki would be somewhat involved in the first scene of Boruto with the Leaf Village destroyed, and I still think that one of his goals is to still plant the Divine Tree, and I think Kawaki sent Naruto away to protect him for what could possibly happen to the world if that is done. There is a slight bit in, I believe, Boruto chapter 62 where Code talks about once this Divine Tree gets planted, the only way you're going to be safe is in another dimension. So I feel like that kind of hints at possibly Kawaki sending Naruto somewhere to another dimension in order to protect him. You know, in this case, Momoshiki would only need Boruto or Kawaki in order to plant this Divine Tree, and that could possibly be why he wants to send Boruto to the same place as the 7th. Now, I'm assuming the two would fight, and that would then be interrupted by Momoshiki. And considering how we know nothing about timeskip Boruto and Kawaki, I think I just really want to talk about them in regards to their character traits and other special things they have or are known for, to sort of gauge how this would go a little bit better. Because, you know, when it comes to the power scaling, I don't really do that. I try to go off like what we possibly may know in the future and kind of gauge how strong they would be that way. So let's first consider how Boruto with the karma would do up against Momoshiki. So right off the rip, we have a amped up Boruto from the karma seal, which grants the user a speed and power boost. Not only that, but he can absorb ninjutsu as well. And on top of that, we have to include the fact that Boruto actually has the Jogan in the very first episode. And based on what the Otsutsuki are saying is that this eye is nothing to be played with. Many people speculate that this is the very same eye shown in the picture of the Otsutsuki god, which is actually not shown in the manga, has not been shown in the anime yet. So it seems like it's the real deal and is most likely going to be the major driving force for how strong Boruto is going to be, in addition with his karma. So you factor that in with Boruto's Kenjutsu, which we see him wielding Sasuke's sword, so I figure at that point in the story he's going to be pretty good at using, Kenjutsu and, the swords and whatnot. So to top it off, Boruto's unique set of jutsus may help out in this fight too. And currently we know Boruto knows 3 chakra natures: wind, water, and lightning. So Boruto is well versed when it comes to his jutsus. Let's go ahead and take a look at Kawaki with the karma, and I think Kawaki would be sort of similar, but I think Kawaki has a little bit of extra things that sort of set him apart from Boruto in this case. So he does benefit from the same karma amps, such as the power and the speed and being able to absorb chakra, but what I really like about Kawaki is that he was trained by Jigen / Ashiki Otsutsuki himself. And considering the first Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki fight used a lot of taijutsu, I think if Kawaki was to fight Momoshiki, he would actually do really well. From what we know, Kawaki's taijutsu is extremely good. We saw bits and pieces in his introduction, episode 189, and just based on how he was trained, Ashiki beat this man senseless every single day and forced him to train so he would be a suitable vessel for Ashiki. I honestly think that he would mainly fight with taijutsu anyway, and he's probably going to incorporate some bits of ninjutsu here and there. Kawaki has actually shown a knack for ninjutsu, but we've only seen him use shadow clone and some fire style jutsu so far. Now I'm pretty sure he will eventually pick up some more things as the story progresses, and just right now I think that he only has 1 chakra nature, so might potentially pick up another one if he's capable of doing so. With these two briefly broken down, I gotta answer the question. Theoretically, would Boruto and Kawaki with karma be able to take down Momoshiki? Now this question is hard to answer in itself because I have to go off the first scene of Boruto. However, we do know a lot more about the things in that scene, and we actually understand some of the abilities of the karma, and we know the characters a little bit better. So it's not like I'm answering this completely blind. I'm sort of referencing things from the current point in the story and sort of matching them up with where we're at in the time skip. So I'm sort of just connecting the dots there to kind of figure out where they would be at that point in time. Honestly, I do think that Boruto and Kawaki could indeed beat Momoshiki, but it's going to have to depend on a couple of things. First, if Boruto and Kawaki fight Code after the time skip, I want to know just how well they did. I think if they got destroyed by Code, or maybe these two trampled all over him, but then I sort of have to branch off on that question and ask, is this the code with the limiters, or is this the code without the limiters? And at that point, we will sort of have to compare the two versus how they did versus both versions of Code. I think with like anime, they sort of like reference things and they eventually end up popping up in the show. So I think at some point in the show, we're going to be seeing Code without the limiters fighting Boruto and Kawaki or Naruto Sasuke or whatever the case may be. So I think this would actually be a good starting point and baseline for how they would do against Momoshiki, since he does seem like the next major threat is going to be Code. So if they were able to at least hold their own versus Code, then I believe that there is a possibility that they could at least take down Momoshiki. Now I said possibly, but that doesn't mean 100%. I think it's more like a 35% chance right now that I'm confident that they could win. I think the Jogan could possibly be one of the keys in the fight, and as they reveal more about it, I think the chances of them winning could go up. Also, we got new news about the Karma Seal and how it retains the Otsutsuki's fighting ability over the years, so that could also come in handy too. Now, I'm not sure what extent this goes to, but I think it's something important to note. And by the way, this is a theoretical fight against Momoshiki, and this can be applied for any other Otsutsuki in the series, but just tweaked just a little bit. More Otsutsuki could possibly be entering the story, as we still know there are 2 Otsutsuki that we don't know about, based on that mural where Sasuke saw the 10 tails. With this new info about the Karma Seal, it kind of makes me wonder if Kawaki is eventually going to be getting Ashiki's abilities at some point in time. I did already talk about this in a video, but I kind of wanted to bring it back up, because if that's the case and Kawaki ends up getting some of these abilities that Ashiki had, then I'm telling you, then Kawaki's really going to be a powerhouse, because a lot of Ashiki's abilities are broken, such as the shrinking and the cubes and being able to take things out of dimensions and put them somewhere else. So I think if that is true and Kawaki potentially can harness some of that Ashiki power, then Kawaki's going to be on a whole nother level. But hey, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. For this theory, can you see Boruto and Kawaki with their karmas beating Momoshiki in a fight after the time skip? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm probably going to be making another part of this after we get more information from the manga. Anyways, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and join the Discord. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.